This is a view from Vancouver Island looking east towards the mainland over in the Vancouver Whistler area on the other side there. Um, I use a standard photo tripod and I attach this homemade gadget to it that I fit my boards onto. And it's adjustable. It's just made out of aluminum, so the whole thing is very lightweight. I can just pack it away. And I can adjust that top part so it fits any of these panels that I want to work on, whatever, so up to about a half sheet. And I just want to load my palette with some water here and soften up some of these wells. I usually let it dry out between trips. And I just want to do this drawing referring back to my view there. And just keep a very simple outline of the shapes I'm going to work with. Cobalt blue. I've got this kind of a oval wash brush which holds a lot of wash, and I like it because it'll go on dry paper and yet still leave a nice smooth, almost like it was going on wet paper, a very gentle graded wash. It's a little watery near the tops of those hills, so it changes in value. And I'm going to mix up a little stronger version of it, just a little drier, so that it doesn't run up into the sky. Just a bit more cobalt blue with that. And I want to soften this bottom edge with a bit of a clean, damp brush. And I'll change the blue here to a phthalo blue. Just mix up. It's going to be quite a bit stronger, but it dries a lot lighter, so I may have to go over it again just to get a distinction between the sky, the hills, and the ocean out there. Just clean that brush and mop up the puddle as it drips towards the bottom. And we exaggerated one of these puddles using a different part of the scene just to get some interest in the foreground. Otherwise it would just be nothing but rocks. Just clean the damp brush and just mop that up so it doesn't run away on me. Now I need to mix up I'm using ultramarine blue and burnt sienna to mix up kind of a gray. I don't want it to be too blue a gray. I want to use a couple of puddles here so that I can get a bit of a bluer puddle and a bit of a browner one. So that I get this type of effect on the sand or the rocks, kind of rocks and mixed with sand. Going back for a little bit of a different brush load each time. Grabbing a little more paint too for some. Kind of skip around so that it leaves a little bit of white bits and texture that we can turn into rocks later on. This wash doesn't want to be quite as gentle as the sky and the water, because there's so much more texture in it. You could, I suppose, splash droplets of water in it to increase the texture. I think I'll have enough without that, but that's another option. Now, just some plain burnt sienna on those. Well, very light And I'll leave slivers of white too where the light hits, and cut around it a bit just with that same mixture of ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. Just here again, alternating a little bit of light, dark, warm, cool, just to keep a good variety going right through. Now, just a thin wash of cobalt blue to try and get a little bit more definition on these hills. Soften it with a clean brush, and oh, it's a little too much paint. Water that down a bit. Sun's coming around on my board here, so I'm going to have to shift. I can't manage looking straight into the paper with the sun bouncing off it. But I got to finish my wash while I got to strike while the iron's hot here. Now just turn the board into the shade so I can avoid getting my eyes shriveled up by the bright sun. And I've got some even cadmium yellow mixed in with phthalo blue here. It's a little bit harsh right now. I'll go over top of it, calm it down a little bit later, because it can stand to be quite dark in the foreground of those trees. A bit of negative painting to try to fill out, getting the ideas here again from what's out there. And just on the end grain and on the shadow parts of these bits of driftwood, just a couple of quick lines to get a bit of definition on. This breaks them up and makes them, I guess, look like a bunch of driftwood without any real distinct definition of any one of them. I just want it to look like a bunch of logs on the shore back there. Power of suggestion is so much better than trying to render each one of them. Same thing applies with the rocks. Just put a bit of dark on the shadow side. And only on the main ones. This is a bit of a close-up just to show what I do. I find a white spot that I left before, and a little dark ultramarine and burnt sienna on the shadow side, and then just soften it with a clean brush and let it blend into the sand. And that's partway done here. Now I want to go in and just reinforce that. See how that phthalo blue soaked in and went a lot lighter. I'm going to take another pass over it, just using the ruler as a guide. This part I've taken home to my studio because I can sit down and focus more on that and work from my reference photos. But I can focus now on the details, just see how much detail I want to put in, which isn't going to be a lot. Just flat brush. It's about a 3/8 or 1/4 inch flat. You can use 1/2 inch maybe. And just pull a little dry brush reflection from the rocks on the edge of that puddle. This helped to make this water look a little bit more reflective. Those are sort of the finishing touches.